This is the main event of the evening. And now, Touch Ice and Stone Cold. It's time. In the red corner, we have Touch Ice, who thinks ice should be abolished.
I am pumped. Ice is the worst.
And in the blue corner, we have Stone Cold, who supports ice.
Yeah, baby, I'm jacked. Let's go, Ice.
But before we get this started, let's go to our on-field announcer to get some background information on what ICE is and what they do.
ICE is known as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Its goal is to protect America from cross-border crime and illegal immigration that threatens our national and public safety. It is executed in more than 400 federal states and works on enforcing immigration policies and protecting against crime.
Wow, that was some intense stuff. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for.
Our immigration detention system locks up hundreds of thousands of immigrants unnecessarily every year, exposing detainees to brutal and inhumane conditions of confinement at a massive cost to American taxpayers.
Wow, that was a good hit. Let's see what Stone Cold does to counter this attack.
While I understand the concern about human rights, and I believe that's completely warranted, we should also understand that ICE serves a necessary purpose. While there may be a very heated opinions regarding this organization, they're nothing more than an agency assigned an unnecessary but extremely unpleasant task.
Wow, that was a good comeback.
The prolonged immigration detention makes it nearly impossible for individuals to fight their cases, including those with legitimate claims for legal status in the United States.
While that may be true, abolishing ICE is a double-edged sword. Some of the issues you mentioned may be done away with, but unrestricted immigration means a less monitored, less safe country. While many of the immigrants are fine, people who deserve a chance to live in the country, there are some who are convicted felons and could be considered dangerous to the country. This is an issue that ICE can do away with.
But most of the Central American families detained by DHS have come to the U.S. seeking refugee protection, having fled one of the most dangerous regions in the world where women and children are raped, abused, and killed with impunity.
While there have been immoral actions committed by ICE, we should also consider the immoral actions that would happen without the agency. Letting anyone who gets past the border to stay permanently will tempt future immigrants to continue to make the dangerous trip to cross the border, and they may possibly start paying people such as human smugglers who promise to help them cross the border, so putting their lives at risk.
All right, guys, calm down, calm down. Let's take a quick break and go to the other sideline reporter to see why ICE is controversial.
ICE controversies really came to light during the Trump administration. The main issues were the conditions in the camp. There was pictures that came up that were of children in cages and a lot of people in a really small cage. And this upset a lot of Americans because of the inhumane living conditions at the facilities. The other big problem was that ICE was separating families at the border. So like the parents were being taken to completely different facilities than the children. This upset many Americans because they were really worried about the lasting psychological effect on the parents and the children. So all of these different controversies really brought to light the ICE debate in politics.
Wow, that is some crazy action going on. All right, back to the fight.
CBP's militarization of the border region has produced rampant abuses ranging from racial profiling to excessive force.
Okay, but there's also a lot of immigrants bringing in COVID because they're not being COVID tested, which is extremely unsafe for the health of the country.
But also there have been many cases of sexual assault in the ICE facilities, and officers continue to abuse their power to this day.
People who oppose ICE tend to attack the officers themselves, but they're not necessarily the problem. They're simply the people carrying out the orders. Instead of attacking people who are just doing their job, we should be taking these issues to the government, the people who actually affect what they do.
Wow, this is looking like an even match from both guys and gotten some real good hits. Could this get any more intense? Let's take another quick break and go to our on-field announcer to see how people in government are currently dealing with the immigration problem.
Congress has not been able to come to an agreement about immigration reform for years now. Trump has put up issues for public debate, along with building a wall and sending troops down to manage the border, which separated families and children. Now, Biden has agreed to reverse his actions, but an influx of immigrants have now put that plan to a pause. He wants to reduce immigrant enforcement, end travel bans, and lifting the suspension of green card processing.
Those were some interesting points. It looks like this fight was too evenly matched. We have a draw. To end this, let's go to our sideline reporter to see a reasonable solution to these issues.
A good compromise for this issue would be not to abolish ICE, but to put stricter regulations
On them, to spend more money on the facilities, to make them more humane, and to update our immigration policies so years or even decades for people to migrate to our country.
This was a good fight, everyone. Come back next week to see Dr. Z versus the Dog Nuts Police.